All right. Hi, Zach. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
Hi, Jalen.
How are you?
Hi. I'm Jalen and I'm from the Nocturnal. And first, I just want to say congratulations for your show In the Know.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, of
Thanks for
course.
talking to
So
us.
my very first question would be for Zach, and that is, how do you think people will be able to relate to Lauren Caspian when they watch the show?
I mean, I'm able to relate to him in that, like, I think he has all kinds of like obnoxious and ridiculous characteristics, but at his core, he just really, really, really wants to be connected to people. I think he's lonely. I think he's insecure. I think he wants to feel like he's part of something. And for in his interviews, I think he wants to feel like he has this special connection. We talked when we were first coming up with the character that for him, these interviews are like this scrumptious banquet or this jam session where he feels like he's in this incredible flow, but that actually the other person probably isn't having the same experience. It's almost like like a romantic partner who thinks that you had the most spectacular sex of your lives, but actually they were just like leaning on your like leg in a weird way that hurt and you had a cramp, but they are totally oblivious to it. I think that's how like Lauren approaches these interviews and probably approaches life with like tremendous need, tremendous insecurity, and a tremendous eagerness to be part of a community and to be enough.
And I think it's very interesting as you watch the show, the irony that it's called In the Know. It seems that every episode that he actually learns something new on what he already thought he kind of knew, which I kind of love.
That's interesting. I think that's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And
Thanks.
yeah, and then my next question would be for Brandon. As you guys were making the show, I thought it was really cool how this is an animation. Can you speak on why you thought it was important to have the interviews with real live people instead of them being animated?
Well, one reason if we had animated them, it would have just increased the budget to something we wouldn't have been able to do because it's such a time intensive process. But we also just thought one of the reasons why we chose for it to be stop motion as opposed to 2D animation is we liked the interplay between the live action guests and and the puppets who are animated, but they are real. They exist in space. And so aesthetically, that I think looks better to cut from Roxane Gay's real face to Lauren's like puppet face, but it is real, it is in space. At least for me, and I've obviously worked through every step of the process. When I watch it now, it's easy for me to suspend my disbelief and start to think of Lauren as a real person talking to another real person, which I think is nice.
And would you say that would draw people in to watch every show? Because after I watched every episode, I was so curious, like, who's going to be on the show next? I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I would hope that maybe someone who's a fan of a particular guest, like someone who loves Tegan and Sarah or loves Mike Tyson, that might make them curious. And then I hope that they get something from all of the guests where they're like, oh, I already knew a lot about Tegan and Sarah. I didn't know about Jorge Masvidal, or I didn't know about Hugh Laurie. And now I'm very curious to watch more guests. I think like something that uh, if we do a second season or and get new guests is it's always just fun to see um, what aspects of Lauren come out based on who he's talking to. So Lauren's a different person with Tegan Sarah than he is with Roxane Gay or he is with Mike Tyson. And so it's fun to almost anyone is a fun juxtaposition because his character is so absurd. But it's fun to think it's like, oh, what would he be like with an athlete? What would he be like with a model? What would he be like with an intellectual? Is always fun.
Nice. And I also was curious to know, like, what was the process like of having each interviewer, answer these uncomfortable questions? Because it seemed very raw and realistic.
It was all improvised. The only exception to that is Jorge Masvidal because that was a scripted story with him and Fabian. But all the other interviews were totally improvised. And the way it would work is Brandon would say, "Hey, in a second, you're going to see a picture of Lauren Caspian. He's a stop motion NPR host, and you can just treat it like any other long form interview. If he makes you laugh, you can laugh. If he asks a question that interests you, you can give a real answer." And they just played with. It was really it's a big trust fall to go onto a show where you're like you can't watch any episodes, so you don't know what it is. Most of these people had never met us before, and they put themselves in our hands in a way that was kind of touching. How much they trusted us to take these long interviews and whittle them down into these segments. But it was all improvised, and people were so funny. But also, in addition to being funny, they were kind of profound. Like they would say stuff where you'd be like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting that." And we tried to include some of that in the show because we thought it was beautiful.
I'm sure. And would you say it was probably hard to probably pick out some of the best moments? Because I thought they were all super funny.
That's nice. Thanks. Yeah, it's a delicate thing. Like we wanted to make sure the joke was always on Lauren, that it never feels like we're taking shots at the guest. And we wanted them to feel like a mix. We wanted to feel enough like a real NPR interview where you felt like you learned something about the person, and also like we got to show the like sheer stupidity of that way of interviewing people.
One thing that we did, because like you said, there was so much great stuff. We interviewed them for an hour. There were so many really funny things we weren't able to put into the show. There's also going to be a podcast with some of the extra audio, so that if you're like, oh, this Finn Wolfhard interview, I wish it was 8 minutes long. There's all this stuff that won't be in the TV show, but that will be Lauren and Finn doing a real interview that you can listen to on Spotify after the show comes out.
Oh, that is so amazing. Well, that was actually my last question. I just want to say thank you so much for your time and congrats again on your show In the Know.
Thanks for talking to us. I appreciate it.
Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Charlie.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Jalen, and I'm with the Nocturnal. And I just first want to say congratulations on the show In the Know.
Thank you.
Of course. So my very first question will be for both of you, actually. I was curious to know if you think that both characters would be a good representation of how Gen Z is depicted today.
That's so funny you say that, because we were talking earlier about how old we think Fabian is. And either she's 48 or 28. So the fact that you think she's Gen Z is I'm honestly honored. And then I guess that makes you think that I'm Gen Z, which I am, thank you. But no, as a millennial, I would say that Gen Z, from a millennial's perspective, we love you, but there's a lot of being recreationally offended that's happening. There's a lot of social justice warrioring that's happening, and I think that she's a huge representation of that. She's a huge representation of the noise on the internet, the noise, and she's basically a walking comment section. So that's what she's playing into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I what Caitlin said, but I think our characters are definitely I think all the characters in the show are definitely dialed up to out of proportion, but in a hilarious way. But yeah, no, I think with Chase, he definitely represents. I think he definitely brings more of a youthfulness to the office. He shouldn't even be there. He should be at college, but he's on academic probation. I think we all kind of know. I think we all know characters similar to Fabian and Chase in our lives, and so yeah, I think a lot of people can watch this show and definitely see people they know within these characters.
And that was actually my next question, because I noticed in the show these two characters almost seem like, based off their personality, that they're the youngest in the show. And I was curious, how do you think younger viewers will maybe be able to relate to them when they watch In the Know?
I think that younger viewers will love this show. I think that the younger generation, Gen Z specifically, I think they're really, really smart. And this show is very smart, very brilliantly written. And I think that there's definitely a younger demographic at play with the comedy here and the characters and the story it's trying to tell. I mean, it's definitely, a workplace comedy, but I mean, if I was 19 years old, I would eat this show up. And I'm 19, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hopefully no one too young is watching this show, because I don't think super young audiences, but yeah, no, I think young adults will definitely, like Caitlin said, eat the show up. And I think yeah, I think they will relate to, especially like Chase and Fabian in a lot of ways. And I think there's something for everyone in the show. Like I don't think you could be, you know, older, younger, like anyone can watch this show and enjoy it, because it's just so funny and brilliant. And I think people are gonna get a kick out of it.
And I think Charlie, your character Chase, is absolutely hilarious. I was wondering, how do you think he contributes to In the Know? Because his character just seems so lighthearted and very playful.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's it. You know, I think he definitely just brings that to the office. I think he is very lighthearted and playful, and brings a youthfulness to the office. And I think the other characters sort of need that. You know, I think they need he's sort of like the just like the chill guy, and he sort of looks out for everyone too, but like maybe not in the best ways. But you know, the other thing about Chase that I really love is that he's so just unapologetically himself. And he's not trying to be anyone that he's not. And I think people will enjoy that about him.
Nice. And my very last question would be for both of you. What is your favorite thing about playing both of your characters in the Know?
Oh, I love playing Fabian because she's just so passionate. So tapping into that vocal performance wise is so much fun. I think whatever she gets up to is kind of boundless, and it's a new little adventure every day with Fabian, you know. So it's a lot of fun to play her.
I feel like I sort of already answered that, just how kind of unapologetically Chase is, you know, about himself. But yeah, no, he's just such a free spirit, which was fun to tap into. And but I think overall just the experience itself was amazing, and it was so collaborative. And you know, we were just dying laughing in the booth the whole time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was laughing as well. It was absolutely hilarious. But that was actually all my questions. And again, I just want to say congratulations on In the Know, and thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Jay and Carl. I hope you both are doing well.
Hi.
Oh, thank you. Well, good. My name is Jalen Green, and I am with the Nocturnal. And my first question will be actually for Jay, and that is, how would you describe Barb's character, considering she seems to be very calm and just so nurturing throughout the show?
Yeah, I think of Barb as sort of the den mother of this like weird world of misfits and inappropriate. You know, it's just so funny because I think of NPR as being like the most like everything considered and thought it like a heady, like a thoughtful, intelligent venue. And this is like the biggest bunch of, you know, egotistical kooks. And I feel like Barb is just kind of like, you know, mild mannered and just like, oh, okay, like assuming that if that seems inappropriate to her, that's somehow her fault because she's so inexperienced. Like, oh, I never knew about that, you know. So she's kind of innocent and just keeps rolling along with it.
And I love how throughout the show, she's just very calm. Despite everything that keeps happening, she seems like she's able to keep everything together.
Yeah.
Amazing. So my next question would be for you, Carl. How would you describe the relationship between Barb and Carl? I think it's very sweet and innocent, and he's also very calm as well, I think.
Yeah, I think that relationship is, I think Carl finally finds like a bit of solace in Barb, and he kind of wants to explore that. He's kind of trying to figure it out himself if that's something that he wants to explore. And I think he's a shy dude, so he's kind of like not trying to overstep because he sees that she's going through a lot. But definitely is like, this person is somebody I think I could very much get along with, and I'd like to. I think Barb actually brings him out of his shell because he's kind of just there doing his job for the most part. And then when he sees Barb, he's kind of like, well, I guess I could have a little bit of a rapport with this person that is different from everybody else who works here, who are all kind of maniacs. So I think that's where he sees that relationship at for sure.
For sure. And my next question would be for both of you. How was it for you to both get into character for In the Know?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was so well written that I feel like right away we could kind of tell who these people were. But at the same time, we were really all invited to bring our own ideas and our own imagination to the table. When you say, Carl?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. It was a very collaborative effort. And I think it made it easy and warm. Brandon and Zach definitely made it easy for us to just kind of come in and play. There was no real pressure on you. You know what I mean? Like it was, of course, we always want to do good at our jobs, but there was no like real pressure. They made it really welcoming and fun, and it was a good time. I'm excited for people to really see it.
Nice. So what do you hope that the audience takes away from both of your characters when they watch?
I hope they take from my character that everybody needs to calm down. Relax.
Yeah, that's good. I think I don't know what to say about what they should take away from it, but in a way, it also, as it turns out, is a kind of an example of someone who is, a female, of high position, who is buffeted around by these other, less accomplished, bigger egos that she has to work with. And she doesn't, she just lets them kind of do that. And then, so I think maybe there's one thing is that I hope that people kind of notice, like, okay, one day she's going to rise up,
And would you say that Barb is almost kind of like an emotional support character for all the other characters? Because she just always seems to be there.
Yeah, she tries to be emotional support. I mean, Fabian and Lauren are kind of beyond help. They're not really listening. But I think like that's one of the things that's so great about Carl and Barb's relationship is they really appreciate how thoughtful the other one is, and that they notice each other. And it's just this, and it's kind of, as the show goes, it's sort of developing, I think. Like oftentimes in sitcom situations, like it's a situation, they all work together, workplace comedy and so forth, that the behaviors of each characters are sort of stamped out. But this one I feel is evolving, and it's really sweet.
Nice. And it also seems the same way with Carl, that he also seems to be like an emotional support. For example, with Lauren's son, how he was able to, make him feel a little bit more better because he could tell he was maybe a little uncomfortable with being with his dad.
Yeah, of course. His son knows how crazy his dad is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was my last question. And I just want to say thank you so much for speaking with me. And I once again congratulate you on In the Know.
Thank you.
You.